In today's class, I will review to prove the theorems about parallelograms and use those rules to solve the problems. Well, the first property is opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal. So let me take a few questions on this. Well, uh, first question is solve for x and y. So here the rule says that in a parallelogram the opposite sides are parallel and also equal. Opposite sides are parallel and equal. Okay. Now I know that here AB is parallel to DC and AB equals to DC. So let me write the condition that opposite sides are parallel and equal. Therefore, I know that here AB equals to CD, AB equals to CD or DC. So here 2x, that's the value of AB, and DC equals to 20. Now you know how to figure out the value of x. So we go by inverse operation. After the cancellation, x equals to 10. Next, let's compare these two values. Again, these two are opposite sides, therefore they're equal in measure. So let me move this part AB equals to DC a little this side, and the second part is BC equals to AD. Once again, I'm repeating that the opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal. Therefore, 3y equals to 24. You know how to isolate the value of the variable. So 3 is multiplying with y. So let me divide on both the sides. So after the cancellation, so y equals to 24 divided by 3, that gives me 8. So it's very simple. So the point is you have to remember that in a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel and equal. Now coming to the second question, this seems a little long. Maybe we may have to solve this one with more steps. Let's see how it goes. Again, I'm taking the same property. I'll do one thing. Due to lack of space, just I'm moving this way. Okay. Well, let me move this. Oops. No issue. Let me move this one here. So we know that opposite sides are equal. Therefore, here the value of AB equals to DC. So the value of AB, I see that 8x plus 5 equals to DC is 12x minus 3. If I were you, I'll try to cancel out the constant first. You can take either way, whichever the value you want to cancel out, you can. So I'm going for inverse operation. So negative 5 on both these sides. So positive and negative, they gets cancelled. 8x equals to 12x minus, negative 3 and negative 5. That gives you negative 8. Now what next means, it is 12x. My bad. So let me write it again. So 12x minus 8. Now I'm taking negative 12x on both these sides because we want to isolate. Therefore 12x and 12x gets cancelled. 8 subtract 12, you get negative 4x. At this point, you know how to isolate x. Please don't think of adding 4 because 4 times x. So the inverse operation is division. So these two gets cancelled, and the value of x equals to 8 divided by 4, that gives me 2. Negative and negative, they gets cancelled. So the question is solve for x. So I'm done and I found what's the value of x is, but that's not the end of the story. Find the value of AB. I see that AB equals to 8x plus 5 and 8. Just now I got the value of x equals to, you see that it is 2. So 8 times 2 plus 5. So 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 5, that gives me 21. Usually majority of the students, they compute the value of x and they think that yeah, they are done. Suppose if the options are given this way, and if the question is find AB, and the first option is usually 2, maybe 10, then 21, 42. So once when you solve the problem, you might think that the answer is 2, and you'll end up with the wrong answer, because the question is find the value of AB. So you have to be careful, look at the question carefully. Okay, now let's go to the next page. The next property is, in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal. Opposite angles are equal. In fact, you take a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, all the properties are, majority of the properties are same as the parallelogram. So let's quickly take a couple of questions on this point. Now this time opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. This is what we discussed. So angle A and angle C, these two angles are equal. These two angles are equal. Therefore, let me write again, that is opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. Okay. Therefore, angle A equals to angle C. A is x and C is 110. So the value of x is found. For the same reason, I'm taking the next part, which is angle B equals to angle D, because opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. So what is B means? It is 70 degrees. D is y. Therefore, the value of D equals to 70. Y equals to 70 degrees. Okay. Let me take one more question. Oops. Okay. Let me clear the screen faster. Okay. This is another question. And we take the same rule. That opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. So let me copy that. So the same rule we follow. So here, let me look at the diagram carefully. I see that angle A equals to angle C. The reason is the same as I mentioned before, that is opposite angles are equal. Therefore, A equals to C means the value of angle A is given as 125 degrees and C is given as 13x minus 5. Though it is a geometric problem, then there is a bit of algebra is involved. I'm sure you know how to isolate the variable. We go for inverse operation by adding 5 on both the sides. Then this one gets cancelled. 13x equals to 125 plus 5, that gives me 130. then you know how to isolate x. Division by 13, division by 13, then the value of x equals to 10. The value of x equals to 10. So the question is find the value of x and y. Therefore, you need not do anything further. Okay. Now coming to the second part of the question. Second part of the question is this time I'm taking angle B, which is 55 degrees, and angle D, it is 3y plus 7. Therefore, let me write that triangle D equals to B. The reason is same. In a parallelogram, the opposite angles are equal. The value of D equals to, from the diagram, I see that it is 3y plus 7 equals to the value of B is 55. So, simple algebra at this point, we subtract 7 in order to isolate the variable. So when you subtract 7 on both the sides, so 3y equals to 55 minus 7, I get 48. Now I see that 3 times y equals to 48, so the inverse operation is division by 3. So after the cancellation, y equals to 48 divided by 3, that gives you 16. So the value of y equals to 16. So again, please be careful whether you are asked to find the value of x and y or find the length of the side kind of questions you have to see. Because in the previous question, I hope you remember that you are asked to find the length of AB, the length of AB. Suppose if you find the value of x and if you don't do the last part, you will be losing the points. Okay, so you have to look carefully what the question is. Okay, now let's go to the next point. Here, consecutive angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. So what are consecutive angles? Let's take an example. Well, in this question, first of all, consecutive angles means angles which are adjacent. I mean, not I can't call as adjacent, but next to each. So if I take angle D and angle C, I see that these two angles are just like neighbors. So I call them as consecutive angles, which are the one after the other. So here this is 40 degrees, and please remember these angles are not equal. These are not equal. I see that one is acute angle and one is obtuse angle. Okay, so the condition says that the consecutive angles are supplementary. Supplementary means remember that 180 degrees. So let me write again. Consecutive angles of a parallelogram. So just I'm copying the parallel symbol. Parallelogram supplementary means 180 degrees. Now here angle C plus angle D equals to 180. Even you can take angle A plus B is 180. You can take B plus C is 180. And C plus D is 180. My bad, one more pair is there. D plus A equals to 180. Therefore, consecutive angles means you take which are next to each other, those angles. The sum of those angles is 180 degrees. The value of angle C is 12x minus 4 plus the value of D equals to 40 degrees, that is equals to 180 degrees. So let me simplify the like terms. Like terms means the terms which are, having the same variables, blah, blah, blah. So here negative 4 and positive 40. So negative 4, positive 40, you know how to simplify the integers equals to 180. And in order to figure out the variable, we have to eliminate this constant first by taking the opposite sign on both the sides. So these two gets cancelled. 12x equals to 180 minus 36. Is it 144? Yes, it is. You know how to isolate the value of x. So we divide by 12. We divide by 12 on both the sides. So here x value equals to 12 times 12. Here, read the question carefully. You are asked to solve for x. So we are done. But that's not the end of the story, as I mentioned before, because you are asked to find the measure of C also, measure of angle C. Therefore, what is the measure of angle C means? I see that measure of angle C equals to 12x minus 4. Now, you plug in the value of x, 12, and I got the value of x equals to 12. Then subtract 4, 12 times 12, that gives me 144. Then take away 4, then you get that 140. Therefore, the measure of angle C equals to 140 degrees. Done? Okay, let's go to the next question. Well, this question is also will be using the same rule. So let me copy that rule. That is a sum of consecutive angles of a parallelogram is 180 degrees. Therefore, here I see that angle A and angle D, these two are consecutive angles. Already I mentioned that consecutive angles means which are next to each. So the value of angle A plus angle D equals to 180. Don't forget, sum of consecutive angles of a parallelogram, rectangle, square, rhombus, trapezoid. Not in trapezoid. In trapezoid only two pairs. That we'll discuss later. So A is I see that 11x minus 1 plus 5x plus 5. Again, a quick reminder, except trapezoid, in rest of the figures, a square, rectangle, parallelogram, a rhombus, a sum of consecutive angles are 180. In case of trapezoid, only two pairs, a couple of pairs, if you take a sum of their angles equals to 180. That we'll discuss later. Now let's simplify the like terms. So like terms means I see that 11x and 5x can be simplified because both are like terms. You know what are like terms, right? And negative 1 and positive 5, these two are constants. So these two can be simplified. Therefore, what is 11x plus 5x means? That is 16x and negative 1, positive 5. If you take negative 1 and positive 5, let me think of the integers part. So these two are having different signs. So I subtract, then it is 180. You know how to isolate the variable. So let me go for inverse operation, that is subtraction of 4 on both the sides. Then we get 16x equals to 180 subtract 4 means 176. Then the next step is division by 16. So the value of x is 16 times 1, that gives me 16. So 16, so it is 11 times. So the value of x equals to 11. As I mentioned before, if you are asked to find the value of x, then you are good. But here the question is find the measure of a. Please notice that I did not find the measure of a or measure of t. I found only x value. So what is the measure of angle A means? It is 11x. You see that This is 11x. So that's what I'm copying. It is 11x minus 1, 11 times the value of x. You see that value of x we got just now here 11. Therefore, let me plug in those values. 11 times 11, subtract 1. So that gives me 121 minus 1, 120. We are done. Next, coming to measure of angle D. Measure of angle D. I see that it is 5x plus 5. Measure of angle D equals to 5x plus 5. Just plug in the value of x. We got 11. We got 11. So 5 times 11, which is 55, plus 5, it is 60 degrees. Yeah, it's matching. I know that sum of consecutive angles is 180, and I see that 120 and 60, if I sum up, I'll get 180. Therefore, my answer is correct. So let's go to next problem. Well, the next property is the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, which means let's take a really quick the concept. For that, let me draw a parallelogram. Please excuse me if it is not a perfect one. I'll try my best. Say that this is a parallelogram. Okay, you know what are diagonals? Okay, so these 2 points are joined. This is one diagonal, and these 2 points are joined. This is another diagonal. So the diagonals bisect each other. What do you mean by bisection? Let's say that if this is a parallelogram with ABCD, AC bisects BD. Let's say AC equals to, let's say that AC equals to 8 inches. Okay, so that is bisected means that is made into two equal halves. Let's say BD equals to 10 inches. So that is bisected into two equal halves. Two equal halves means you see that two halves, which are, I mean, these two pieces are equal. Now, let's take a quick example. Oops, I'm sorry. That okay. Here is a question. Here is a question. Let it be overlapping on this. No problem, because you understood that what is the meaning of bisection. Okay. So here DE equals to 7x plus 2. Please observe carefully. DE is given as 7x plus 2, which means this is given as 7x plus 2, and EB is 9x minus 6. Therefore, this is 9x minus 6. Just now I explained that in a parallelogram diagonals bisect each other, and I told you that the length of this one, which is DE, equals to EB. This is what I told you, right? Therefore, the same concept I am taking again. Diagonals bisect each other. Bisecting each other means they divide each into equal parts. Therefore, length of DE equals to EB. Now, let me plug in these values. 7x plus 2 equals to 9x minus 6. So either left side or right side you cancel the constant part. You know how to cancel out. We go for the inverse operation, that is negative 2 on both the sides. So 7x equals to 9x, negative 6, negative 2, that gives you negative 8. And you have to, if you want to figure out the variable, this 9x is to be eliminated. Don't forget, on the constant side we have to eliminate this one. So the inverse operation is subtraction of 9x, then 7x, take away 9x, that gives me negative 2x. Now you know how to isolate x. Please do not add 2. You have to divide by negative 2 on both the sides. So the value of x equals to negative times negative, that is positive. 8 divided by 2, that is 4. So the value of x equals to 4. But the question is, what is the length of dB? He is not asking to find what is the value of x. This is where you'll be tricked, especially during testing. Because once when you find the value of x, you may think that you are done, but it is not. The length of dB means that's the sum of this one and this one. So it is dE plus EB. So what is dE means? It is 7x plus 2. What is EB? That is 9x minus 6. So let me sum up 7x and 9x. That gives me 16x. Positive 2, negative 6. That gives me negative 4. Now here you plug in the value of x. X equals to 4. Just now we got it. So take 4 here. Take 4 here. 16 times 4, 64. Yes. Take away 4. 64, take away 4, then you get 60. So 60 units, that's the length of dB. Okay. So let's go to the next question really quick. Well, let me take the types of quadrilaterals. First of all, a parallelogram. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal, opposite sides are parallel, and all the four corners are they're not equal, but the sum of consecutive angles are 180, opposite angles are equal, and diagonals bisect each other. When it comes to rectangle, almost all the properties of parallelogram are taken. In addition to that, all the four corners are at 90 degrees. Next, a rhombus. Again, we take all the properties of a parallelogram and the additional properties. The diagonals bisect each other at 90 degrees. At 90 degrees. Next one is square. In a square, you know all the four sides are equal. So, how these two are different means? In a square, you know that all the four sides are equal. Let's say this is just some numbers I'm taking. All the four sides are equal. And you know the difference between a square and a rectangle. In a rectangle, opposite sides are equal, but all the four sides are not equal. That's the difference between a rectangle and a square. You know that, right? And this is a square. And again, what is rhombus means? In a rhombus, again, all the four sides are equal. So how is it different from a square means? In a rhombus, the corners are not at 90 degrees. That's the basic difference between a square and a rhombus. In a square, the corners are at 90. In the same way, in a rectangle, all the four corners are at 90 degrees, but in a parallelogram, the corners are not at 90 degrees. Otherwise, they are having the same properties, like opposite sides are equal and parallel, the same as a rectangle. And the last one, that is a trapezoid. Trapezoid means one pair of sides are parallel. I hope you know that. Only one pair. So this is parallel to this one. I'll take another class separately on trapezoid properties. So let's go to for analyzing these some multiple choice questions. Let's say that the diagonals bisect the angles. In fact, the diagonals bisect the angles. Let's go back and visit. And if you observe carefully here, in all the diagrams, please, my bad, diagram disappeared, that trapezoid diagram. I'm sorry for that. I'll try to put it back. Oh, yeah, it's back. Okay, so the diagonals bisect each, the angles means, please notice that in all the diagrams, just a minute, see here the angles are bisected by the diagonals. Do you see that? And here in a square, yes, the angles are bisected, right? And here, is it mentioned? No. Do you see that? So you can take two answers for this. You can take two answers. So it's a rhombus and a square. Next, coming to all angles are congruent. So let's go back to the previous page. All angles are equal means I know that in a parallelogram the consecutive angles are not equal. Therefore, I can drop this. And in a rhombus, the consecutive angles are not equal. And here I know it is 90. This is 90. All angles are 90, right? Even in a square also, all the four corners are at 90 degrees. All the four corners are at 90 degrees. Therefore, I can say that, yes, I can go with a square and a rectangle. So please remember, sometimes you'll be having more than one answer. Opposite sides are congruent. In fact, if you take any of these except trapezoid, in the other diagrams, opposite, this is equal to this one, right? This is equal to this one. So in a rhombus, opposite sides are equal. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal. Yes. Opposite sides are equal. Yes. Then opposite side, yeah, already I mentioned within numbers, opposite sides are equal. Even in a square also, opposite sides are equal. Therefore, here in a square, yes it is. Rhombus, yes. Rectangle, parallelogram, yes. Now, really quick, one important question is write a two-column proof. And here, let me minimize a little. Okay, so you are asked to find or fill in the blanks. Angle, first of all, let me read the question. Here I see that AB is parallel to DC. Okay, this is parallel to DC, and AB is congruent to DC. That means length of AB equals to length of AB equals to length of DC. Angle ABD and BDC. So ABD is this one and BDC is this one. You know why they are equal? Please remember that when two lines are parallel, one angle is facing left side, the other angle is facing the right side, and they are on either side of the transversal line. We call them as alternate angles. They are alternate angles. Okay. And next, dB congruent to dB by reflexive property. Therefore, I see that, my bad, here dB congruent to dB, that is reflexive property. So I see that side equals to side, and I see that angle equals to angle, and I see that AB is congruent to DC. Therefore, side equals to side. So by which property means I would say that, oh, SAS is given. Therefore, AD means this side equals to this side. So this is going to be corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. That's the next one. So I skipped a couple of just one question. So let's finish this one too. Which of the following justifies if the quadrilateral below is a parallelogram? So let me look at the markings. I see that these two are given equal, and I see that these two are, let me use a different color code. These two symbols are given equal. Therefore, we have to talk about the diagonals. So it is about sides. So not this one. Sides bisects, no way. Angles, I'm not. Oh, see that diagonals bisect each other. Yes. Therefore, this is going to be the correct option. Okay, that's it from me for today's class.